Hi, everyone. My name is Malaya Wilson, and this is my proposal to improve financial stability for graduate assistants at a state university. Um, right now, our graduate assistants currently are paid on a monthly basis. I would like to move them to a bi-monthly basis in order to improve financial stability, support them as students, and align our institution with more modern HR practices. I'll walk us through the problem, the research I've done, a fictional but pretty realistic survey of graduate assistants. We'll take a look at some operational considerations and then a practical rollout plan. So I'm going to ask you to do a math problem with me very quickly. Uh, Number one, your rent is due on the 1st. Your tuition balance is due on the 16th. The light bill at the house is due on the 18th. Your cell phone bill is due on the 28th, but the car insurance is due on the 22nd. You need to fill up your gas tank today. And last week, you needed a $200 textbook for class. And you don't get paid until next month. I think you can see that the math isn't exactly mathing. And that's how hundreds of our graduate assistants feel. Right now, the basic problem is graduate assistants are only paid once a month. This creates a lot of budgeting challenges for our students where rent and utility and bills, like we just talked about, rarely fall on the same day or near the once monthly paydays. These monthly pay cycles were originally designed for faculty decades ago, and GAs, especially graduate teaching assistants, were just kind of placed into that model. But we have to recognize that their financial realities look very different. And the end result right now is unnecessary hardship for our students. So, my proposal is that we pay them bi monthly. This will help improve financial stability and support retention of our student workers. And of course, it aligns with HR best practices. A lot of research in human resources management is clear. More frequent pay cycles reduce financial strain, and that positively affects employee well-being, morale, and retention. Institutions that have modernized their pay cycles report fewer financial complaints and stronger engagement from student workers. And this matters because GAs or graduate assistants are uniquely impacted by pay timing because they live, for the most part, with tight budgets, tuition expenses, and limited income flexibility. I took a look at a study in 2002 by Della Rosa and Tully, and they said that employees who are paid more frequently experience significantly less short-term financial distress throughout the month. If you take a look, what that basically breaks down to is because it smooths that cash flow and reduces end of month strain, it decreases behaviors associated with financial stress, like overdraft or relying on credit cards. This evidence really supports the idea that shifting our GAs from monthly to bi monthly pay is not just an administrative preference, it will directly improve financial stability and help reduce their stress. On top of the academic research indicating that increased pay frequency increases the sense of financial stability, we also know that engaging our stakeholders is paramount. Uh, excuse me. We have to engage our stakeholders when making decisions. It strengthens administrative legitimacy, improves policy alignment, and especially avoids unintended consequences. For that reason, before making recommendations, we gather direct input from the GAs themselves. Let's review the results. Now, to be perfectly clear, I had ChatGPT design a fictional but realistic institutional survey. We would have run it through an anonymous online survey to about 200 graduate assistants that we invited to respond. We had 178 respond per ChatGPT, remind you. That's an 89% response rate, though, with an error margin of plus or minus 7.4%. So overall, we can see that about 2/3 of the GAs would actually prefer to be paid twice a month. And of course, ChatGPT did let me know that this data was based on just standard data that it's seen itself. Now, we didn't want to just rely on the timing of pay frequency they preferred. We also wanted to get to the heart of the issue, and this says it. Would bi-monthly pay improve stability? Again, we had 178 respondents. 40.4% strongly agreed that increasing their pay frequency would improve their stability. And then we had 35.4% agree. So what we're looking at here is 70% of our GAs say that monthly pay causes them some level of financial strain. Over 1/3 experience regular strain as well. This is a major red flag for us. If this policy is causing financial difficulty for our employees, then it's time to reevaluate. Of course, we can't omit the remainder of the primary stakeholders. Here's a basic overview of the consensus from some of the key players. As you can see, there were only minor operational concerns expressed with plenty of support expressed. It is very important to note, though, that bi-monthly payments are currently being made to hourly staff and student assistants. Therefore, the administrative burden side would not increase by much in order to include graduate assistants into that population. All right. Now, in order to make this transition, HR, payroll, benefits, and of course the provost team would need to build basically a bulletproof plan in order to roll this out. In HR, as a data analyst, I would be responsible for creating new job codes for our HRIS system. Payroll would be responsible for verifying that the stipend amounts, when broken down biweekly, are still correct. The math is mathing, so to speak. Benefits department, we work very closely with HR and payroll, would also be involved in order to adjust benefit deduction timings. So if we're currently at a monthly pay, that means that any deductions for benefits that a GA has is only coming out once a month. So we have to make sure that the transition to twice monthly pay includes a deduction twice a month. And again, it's very important that we test all of that information. In addition to testing, though, one of the next most important things is ensuring that we communicate this clearly. We want to ensure that the GAs are prepared and have plenty of time to plan. All right, so as we see, we kind of have a balanced view here on our SWOT. The benefits I feel are significant and obviously strongly supported by GA feedback. The risks are primarily operational, but they can certainly be addressed through planning and through communication, effective communication, I should say. Um, of course, every policy change requires adjustment, but the upside here certainly outweighs the challenges. So the final recommendation is going to be to go ahead and transition the GAs to bi-monthly pay. In order to do this, HR payroll teams are building new job codes and pay calendars into the HRAS system. Obviously, testing is absolutely essential because stipends and benefits interact very differently with pay cycles. We've already talked about clear and effective communication to the departments and the graduate assistants themselves to prevent any confusion. We've created a realistic timeline that allows for really thoughtful implementation of this proposal and reduces the risk for any hiccups or anything like that. Um, we want to start testing now and throughout the spring to build within our HRIS and run some ghost testing, we would call it. Um, in spring of next year, we would communicate this change in order to prepare people for it. In summer of FY26, we would launch this only for the new hires coming into the university. So that means if you're already an existing graduate assistant, we would not switch you. During the summer, we're only going to start with the new hires. And that gives us an opportunity to work out any kinks once we go live. Summer graduate assistants are typically a smaller population, so it gives us kind of a smaller sample size to work with. Just in case anything does go wrong, there's not that much fallout to deal with because we're dealing with a smaller number of individuals. Uh, the big the big transition would happen in fall FY26, and that means any new hires coming in or anyone already here would go ahead and be switched to those new codes, the new position codes with the new bi-monthly pay, new bi-monthly deductions for their benefits. So I did draft a little policy change statement just to help shore up the proposal. Um, I feel like this is a pretty thorough plan, and hopefully you may see it come around here shortly. Thank you for your time.